Hello dear student, welcome on this video lecture, and we are talking about the magnetic field because of various current carrying wires, or you can say various current distributions. In that sequence we have talked about the Biot-Savart law as well as this Ampere's law, and we are going to use this Ampere's law in a couple of questions, and there will be a result for us. So let's start with this one that says magnetic field due to a current carrying long cylindrical shell. So we got a cylindrical shell which is a long and having a current. So this is a picture you can see. In this picture the current is moving along this circumference or periphery or the curved surface of the cylinder, and that current is given by this value I. So let me rewrite this as I is a current which is moving in it, and the current is not inside, it's only on the circumference or you can say curved surface. So if we need to find the magnetic field, there are going to two zones that we can think of. One is a zone inside and another zone is outside. So we need to find the magnetic field inside the cylinder as well as outside. So let's start with this. So first we will talk about outside because this figure is for outside, and let's say point P is here, which is outside. At this point P we need to find the magnetic field. So this has a distance r from the center as shown in this figure. So what we are going to do, we are going to consider this r radius circle, and that circle will be behaving like Ampere's loop. So we can say first we are talking about outside. When we say outside, that means this is small r is greater than capital R, where capital R is the radius of the cylinder. So this radius is capital R, and in this case we are going to use this Ampere's law, and that Ampere's law is going to be integration B dot dl. This is equal to mu naught into current enclosed. So that's what we are going to apply. Since it's long, so it's going to be symmetrical as well, and because of that symmetry we will find the magnetic field will be circumferential, or that means you can say tangential, and the total current enclosed is going to be I as per this. So we can carry with this, and we can say, we can simplify this left hand side. Since we have talked about this magnetic field is going to be tangential, dl is going to be tangential, so we can write it as a b into dl cos 0. B dl cos 0. How we are able to say that this curve that we have chosen, this Ampere's loop, and in that Ampere's loop dl and b are going to be tangentially, both will be tangentially, and in the right hand side you are going to get mu naught. I enclosed is going to be the total current, and we know what this simplified version is. So that simplified version is going to be b. Again, this b is going to be constant on all the points of this r radius. So you can say this b is outside, and integration is going to be of dl. Dl is going to be total periphery of the Amperean's loop. So we can say it's going to be 2 pi into small r. So from here we can claim that the magnetic field will become equal to, or let me write here, that's b is into 2 pi r is equal to mu naught into I, which gets converted into formula. That formula is b is equal to mu naught, the constant, I, the total current, divided by 2 pi r. 2 pi r. Now if you look at this formula, it is exactly same as that is due to an infinite current carrying wire. So outside the field is just like a wire, and it's mu naught I upon 2 pi r. So that's the field outside. Now when we are talking about the inside, so inside will infer that small r is going to be less than capital R. When we are inside, then we need to choose this Amperean loop. So we have chosen this Amperean loop, circular, of some smaller radius. You'll find no current will be passing through it because the current is only on the this curved surface. So in this case we can apply this again, we can apply this Ampere's law, and as per the Ampere's law we are going to get integration b dot dl, and this is going to be equal to mu naught I enclosed. But we will find this I enclosed is going to be 0, and this left hand side can be simplified as a b into 2 pi r, and this is going to be mu naught into 0. So this will indicate that B is going to be 0. B is going to be 0. So you will find that the field inside a long cylindrical current carrying wire is going to be 0 because it is hollow inside, no current is inside, so that's magnetic field is 0, and the magnetic field outside is just like a just like a linear long wire, infinite wire that we have already talked about. So both the results are important for us, and next point that could be done over here is to plot how this magnetic field varies with respect to distance from the axis. So let's say there's a graph that we are supposed to draw dependent on two variables, that is magnetic field because of this, and it depends on r, small r, which is distance from the axis. Of course, we are going to find one turning point or important point on this, that's going to be capital R. So that's going to be inside portion and that's going to be outside portion. So that's for inside and that's outside. So we can think of that's inside and outside. Anyway, and that's obvious, so I'm erasing. This is 0. And if we need to plot how the graph is going to look like, you will find inside is going to be 0. So it will start from here and it will remain 0 up to inside point, or that means up to R point. And just before R it stops. And then it increases, it suddenly increases to a value just outside its maximum, so just outside, and it decreases 1 upon R, that means rectangular hyperbolically to 0 at very far apart. So this graph is going to indicate the magnetic field due to a long cylindrical shell. Here are a few questions we can think of, like at which point the field is maximum. So we will say the field is maximum just outside, and how much that maximum value is going to be mu naught I divided by 2 pi capital R, because just outside small r is going to be almost equal to capital R, and where it is 0, it's a 0 at all the point inside as well as at infinite distance. So here it's also approaching to 0, and this is discontinuous on the surface, so it suddenly goes up. So this graph is extremely important for us, and hence these formulas are also important to us. So this is a result you need to keep in mind. Next application of this Ampere's law, or you can say finding the magnetic field, is of long cylindrical wire. So it's written over there, it says magnetic field due to a long cylindrical wire that has a current. So let's say this is a current carrying solid cylinder, that's a solid, so the current will be coming from inside as well as on the periphery, and let's say this current density is denoted by J. So J is the current density, and this is the P point from at which point we are interested in finding out the magnetic field because of this, and this P point has a radius, so we can join this and we can call this radius is small r. So what we are going to do, we are going to take an Amperian loop, so we will choose a closed loop that passes through this, and that's a circularly symmetric, right? So that at all the point on this loop, because of this current carrying arrangement, the field remains the same by magnitude. As well as the direction of magnetic field is concerned, that's going to be tangential. So if we consider dl at any location on this outside point, so that's going to be dl. If this is the dl vector, then you'll find by giving the sense like this, so you'll find the magnetic field is also going to be tangentially and in the same order. So you'll find the angle will remain 0 again. So we will be finding the field inside and outside. So let's first find the field outside this cylindrical wire. So when we say outside, we basically refer that small r is bigger than the capital R. And as per the Ampere's law, we are going to write B dot dl. This is going to be equal to mu naught into I enclosed. Now we have solved this left hand side several times, then you'll find it's going to be B into dl cos theta, then B will be constant that can be taken outside, cos theta will become cos 0, so it's become integration dl, which is going to be 2 pi r. So I'm writing directly into mu naught. What is the I enclosed? It's going to be the total I that is passing through this, so I can be written as the current density into and that area, which area is going to be pi r square. So current is running with this area pi r square. Making sense? So that's going to give us the magnetic field formula. So from here we are able to find the magnetic field formula. B is equal to that's 2 pi, pi getting cancelled out, so we can write as a mu naught J, mu naught into J into r square divided by, in downside we are going to get as twice r. So that's the magnetic field formula for this outside point due to infinitely long solid cylindrical current carrying arrangement. Makes sense? So that's an important result again we need to keep in mind. Just like we found for outside, we can also find for inside. So inside means this small r is less than capital R, and we are going to again proceed with this Ampere's law, which says integration B dot dl is equal to mu naught into I enclosed, mu naught into I enclosed. Now then you will see what should be the Ampere's loops. So Amperian loop has to be opted inside. So this is the Amperian loop that we are choosing, and that's a symmetrical, right? And that will be helping us to find the magnetic field at any point. So let's say we are interested at point P, which is having a smaller radius, so that's radius is smaller. Now again you will find because of symmetry we will be helping it, we will be solving this in a very similar manner. So this left hand side is going to be B into 2 pi r, and on the right hand side we are going to get as a mu naught into I enclosed. So we need to find what this I enclosed is going to be. Now we can simplify what this I enclosed is going to be. It will depend on what the what type of this current density is. So we are considering this current density to be uniform. So if it is uniform, so current is basically in any enclosed surface is going to be current density into the area, which is going to be pi small r square. So we are going to write it as a J into pi small r square. If we settle it down, then you'll find B is going to be equal to 2 pi, and this pi is getting cancelled out, 1 r is getting cancelled out. It's simply mu naught J divided by 2r. Mu naught, sorry, it's going to be mu naught, and 1 r is getting cancelled out and pi is getting cancelled out, so it's going to be mu naught J into r upon 2. That's what it is going to be. Now if we want, we can write it as in form of vector quantity. So B vector, B as a vector quantity is going to be equal to mu naught by 2 J, that's a current density, cross R. We can also write this J cross R, because this J cross R will carry the direction as well apart from the magnitude. Now you can think of the direction of magnetic field we used to calculate using this Biot-Savart law, in which we used to write dl cross r. So dl is basically the direction of current, and that is basically the direction of J. So J cross r is going to give us the direction of magnetic field at any point. And if we do the magnitude, so it's going to be J r sine theta, and the angle between r and J is going to be 90 degree, because you can see over here r is in horizontal direction, whereas J is in the vertically upward direction. So that's the direction of J. So J cross R will have a magnitude J into R, which is over here, written over here. So this is important expression that carries both magnitude as well as direction. And if you need to find only magnitude, then you can remember this one, that's the magnitude is mu naught J R by 2. And whenever you want to replace this J by current, you can always replace this J by current, because this J is given by the current that is moving divided by pi r square. So we can replace this J as I upon pi r square in all the expressions. So we can find this expression in terms of current. Okay, so that's what it is. And another important point that can be added with this is the graph. So if somebody asks what the graph and how this graph is going to look like, so we can plot that graph as well. For that sake, we need to have a two coordinate axes, one along the direction of x. We are going to measure the distance from the central axis, or the axis of the cylinder, and another is going to be this vertical axis will be written by b. Again, this point that is going to be important is on this boundary, that's a radius. And if we plot this graph, you are going to find that inside is proportional to r and outside is reciprocal to r. So proportional to r means is going to follow the straight line. So there has to be a straight line going like this, and then it will be dropping down following rectangular hyperbola. So it has to be dropping down like this. So if you're getting this kind of graph, that's going to be the magnetic field variation because of a solid cylinder having uniform current density. Making sense? And we can find out where the magnetic field is maximum and how much that is. It's maximum on the surface, and its value is going to be, you can replace this small r by capital R, that's done. So it's going to be mu naught, and this you can say, you can also write in terms of I. So we can write j as I upon pi r square. You'll find it will convert as mu naught I upon 2 pi r, exactly same as that is because of a hollow one. So outside field you'll find is going to be exactly same as that hollow cylindrical wire, or simply thin wire, and inside it's going to be linearly directly proportional to radius. That means as we move away from the central axis, you'll find the more current is going to come in, and that will be increasing the magnitude of magnetic field. So this graph is again important in order to find the magnetic field. So if you remember this graph, or you can remember this these formulas, both will help you to solve several questions. Let's move ahead. Next point is, or a formula is going to be this, which is magnetic field due to a long solenoid. So what is the magnetic field because of a long solenoid? We are going to learn over here. What is a solenoid or long solenoid? Solenoid is basically a collection of current carrying loops. Let me turn it up. So number of loops are fitted together or placed close by, then that geometry is called solenoid. Or you can say that if we consider as this cylindrical arrangement, non-conducting, over this we can wrap off this wire, forming the coil like this. So this coil or these loops of current carrying wire, they together is known as solenoid. The same picture has been shown over here. Here the current comes from this part and goes inside and moves on a circular path, and comes out from this end. So this particular geometry is called as solenoid, and it's called long when this length is large enough. That means large number of these circular coils are there, or circular loops are there. The same picture can be represented in a cross-sectional view downside, and that's going to be good for us to work for. So it says the upside shows those terminals which are this. So if you look at this, so you'll find the current will appear coming from those segment, and if you look for this, the current will appear to go into that segment. So we can use this downside figure as well to understand the same stuff, and that let me erase those part. And this will be showing that the current is coming outside, and this is going to be current going inside. So it's going to be basically, this is representing one loop. This is how the current is moving. This is representing another loop, and this is representing another loop. So you can say so many loops, they are placed together or close by. And this is a cross-sectional view, right? So we can say here, from here the current is coming outside, from here the current is going inside, and we are interested to find the field inside and outside, right? And this is ideal, and it's long enough. So again we can use this Ampere's law, and for that sake we need to first opt for this Amperian loop. So let's consider an Amperian loop like this. So this is an Amperian loop we are considering, and in this Amperian loop, let's name the points that are going to be important. Let's say this terminal point is 1 point, then this is 2 point, then where it is intersecting, that's a 3rd point, this is 4th point, we can call it the 5th point, we can call it the 6th point. So 6th point we have indicated, and this is basically Amperian loop or the closed loop. closed loop. Then the next point as well our conversation is to talk about the sense for this. So let's say we are giving this as a sense for this. Now, if we talk about the direction of magnetic field, then we know this is the wire which is carrying the current in the outward direction. These are the wires which are carrying current inward direction. If we are interested in writing the direction in between zone, then you'll find if the current is outward and if you use the right hand rule, then you'll find the magnetic field direction is going to be in this way. And if you find this direction of magnetic field because of the inside one, still you are going to get in this way. That means inside the magnetic field is going to be the way I have shown with these black arrows. Making sense? And as far as the outside is concerned, for outside we can take 1 amperian loop here as well. So we take 1 amperian loop here. So here you'll find the field will be because of this entire one, but you'll find no current will be enclosed in it. So let's say we are having 2 loops. This is loop 1 and this is loop 2. So we are working for loop 1 as well as for loop 2. Okay, that's the one. Now let's solve this. So first we can simplify for the outside. So outside this solenoid, outside. If we go outside, that means we need to consider loop 1. So consider loop 1 or closed loop L1. If we consider closed loop L1, then you'll find as per this Ampere's law, it's going to be B dot dl. That's going to be equal to mu naught into I enclosed. Now you see, you take this Amperian loop anywhere, you'll find the total current enclosed is going to be 0 because no wire is going to crossing this loop. So you'll find this part is going to be 0 and that will be 0 for all locations, right? So from here we can say it's going to be B into 2 pi r, or not exactly, if we simply say this, since this is 0 for all the Amperian loops that we consider outside, so that means this, if it is coming 0 for all cases, then we can claim that B should be 0 outside. So for outside points of this solenoid, you will find the magnetic field outside is going to be 0. So that's one important point that we need to remember. In case of ideal solenoid and which is long enough, the field outside is 0. Once we have done with this outside, then we need to talk about what the field is inside. Inside, for that inside, we need to consider loop L2. So let's consider the loop L2 for which we have shown these points. Now we need to say this integration has to be done over the entire loop that we have considered this L2, and it has to be performed B dot dl, and that B dot dl is going to be mu naught into I enclosed. Now let's just start with this on the left hand side. This integration is on the enclosed loop. That means it has to start from 1 to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and again on 1. Now there are different segments, so we can say we can divide this into different parts. That means we can go for integration from 1 to 2 and then can perform this B dot dl. Then we can go for the segment which is 2 to 3 and we can perform this B dot dl. Then we can use this next one which is from 3 to 4 segment, and in this we can perform this B dot dl. Similarly we can keep on moving, and the next would be 4 to 5, and in this 4 to 5 we need to perform this B dot dl, and the next segment is going to be integration 5 to 6 and we can perform this B dot dl, and then we can go for the last one which is integration 6 to 1 B dot dl. If we do all these calculations together and then add them up, then we will be able to find what this left hand side is going to be. This has to be equal to mu naught into I enclosed. So that's going to be mu naught into I enclosed. So it has gone to that level. Okay. Anyway, this is a very long expression that I have expressed over here. Now let's settle one by one. 1 to 2, if we go for 1 to 2, that means in this branch 1 to 2 branch, DL and B, DL is along the loop direction and B is in that direction, then you'll find that settle down. This settle downs to this point. That means this is going to be equal to, let me use this black color. So it's going to be equal to, from 1 to 2 branch, you will find it's going to be integration 1 to 2, and you will find b and dl, where b is the field which is inside, plus. Then we will talk about this 2 to 3 segment. If we are at 2 to 3 segment, then you'll find dl is going to be in this direction. So if dl is in this direction, b is in this direction horizontally, then you'll find the angle between the two is going to be 90 degree. So you'll find this will become 0. This will become 0 because of the reason that they are perpendicular to each other. Now when we come to 3 to 4, 3 to 4 is outside point, and we have talked about outside b is 0. So all the outside segment will be 0 because the b is 0. So you'll find this segment is going to give us a 0 result. This integration is going to give us a 0 result. 5 to 6 is also going to give us a 0 result because the magnetic field is 0. Then come to this 6 to 1 segment. Again 6 to 1 segment, dl is going to be perpendicular to the direction of b. So that's also going to be 0 because of perpendicularity nature. Then you'll find all the other aspects are coming to 0. And this is going to be equal to mu naught into I enclosed. So we need to find what the I enclosed is. That means what is the I that is going to be trapped in this particular part, or the Amperian loop that we have chosen, right? And since this is a long solenoid, so finding the number of turns is going to be difficult. So we defined a number n, and this n is considered as the number of current carrying loops, or number of turns, you can say in short, number of turns per unit length. So we define a small n, which is the number of turns per unit length. That means in unit length, how many turns are available, that is the value of n. And let's say when we consider this loop, then we have considered this length, and this length of the loop is L. So we are considering this length to be L. So if it is L, so we can say L length of this solenoid is enclosed inside, right? So if L length is enclosed, so if we can multiply this n with L, so that will be the total number of turns involved, and in each turn current I is running. So I is the current that runs in each turn, and there are n into L total number of turns. So we can say I enclosed is going to be equal to, so we can settle over here that this I enclosed is going to be equal to n into L, that's total number of turns, into I, that is the current, and this n into L is the total number of turns which are inside the Amperian loop. Making sense? And then we can simplify this integration, and we can get our final result. Then you'll find this is going to be b is a constant because that's a symmetrical length, so here the b is going to be same. And if we go for the integration dl, so integration is going to be dl for the branch running 1 to 2. You'll find this branch length L is going to be this small l that we have considered over here. So it's going to be basically mu naught into I enclosed, which came out to be NL into I. If we further simplify, we will find in the left hand side is going to be B into L, the total length is coming as L, is equal to mu naught N into L into I. Now you can think of this L is getting cancelled out, and it has to be cancelled because this is the length of the Amperian loop, and our answer does not depend on the loop that we choose. So it's going to be B is equal to mu naught N into I. So final result for a magnetic field due to a solenoid is going to be this. So field inside a solenoid is going to be B is equal to mu naught and I, where mu naught is a constant. We are aware of I is the current in each turn, and N is the number of turns per unit length. So if the number of turns per unit length is known to us, and I, that is current in each length in each loop, is known to us, we can find B is equal to mu naught N into I. The important point that has to be noticed over here is that the field inside is independent of location. That means this field is uniform. So inside the field is uniform, we can claim that. So inside a solenoid, field is uniform, and it is independent of the location. That means if you choose this point, or if you choose this point, or you choose any point, the field is going to be same at all the locations, and the direction we have already decided. So we got the magnitude, we got the direction, and for outside point it is 0. That's also settled. So that means because of this particular solenoid, we can say field inside is going to be in this direction, and it's going to be uniform, which is going to be mu naught n into I, and for all other outside points the B is going to be 0. That's the final result, and that has to be understood and remembered. Next current carrying arrangement is toroid. So we need to find the magnetic field due to a toroid. What is a toroid? Toroid is a basically circular tube which is wrapped with a compact or closely fitted this circular loops. So that's a tube, and let's say that tube has an inner radius, that's the inner radius, and let's say inner radius is A, and it's going to have some outer radius as well, and let's say that outer radius is B. So that's the inside is a circular tube, and in this circular tube you are wrapping these current carrying wires. So this current carrying wire has been wrapped over here. So current goes like this, then it goes like this, and in this manner. Then finally the current comes out from the wire that comes outside from here. Making sense? So this kind of arrangement is known as toroid. And the same arrangement can be imagined in a cross-sectional view. So if we cut and we watch, then we'll find this is going to be some sort of this. That means from inside, you see from the inside the current is coming outside. So this is showing that the currents are coming outside. This is inner radius, basically A, and these circular points with dot is indicating that the currents appears to be coming outside this plane. And the bigger radius is B, so that's the radius is B. Let me draw some straight, and thus B radius is on this. These wires are entering in this current. You see the current is coming as outside and going inside. So outside portion, this point portion will be appearing the current is going inside. Whatever the current is coming outside, that is going inside, right? Here the total number of turns can be counted. So here we will be having this letter capital N. Capital N is total number of turns. Total number of turns. So that is given to us. What else is given to us? I. And what this I is going to be current in each turn. So current in each turn. So after knowing these two terms, we can find the magnetic field due to this toroid. When you look at this toroid, you'll find there are going to be certain zones we need to talk about. The zone 1 is totally inside. That means within the radius A. The zone 2 is going to be somewhere lying between A to B. And there's going to be third zone which is totally outside. So we need to know what the magnetic field because of this particular arrangement in all the space is. So let's say we are talking about the first zone first. That means when we say zone 1, or let me simply write short, that's a 1. 1 is basically indicating this R is R, that means distance from the center is less than A. So what happens when R is less than A? So if we take any Amperian loop here, how much the current will be enclosed? So if you take any Amperian loop here, you'll find no current will be enclosed because current is here. So you'll find the current will be 0. So since current is 0, so we start with this B dot dl is equal to mu naught into I enclosed. And if you settle down this left hand side and right hand side, then you'll find you are going to get some sort of this B into 2 pi r is equal to mu naught into current enclosed, which is 0. So this will give us a result that in the first zone, which is inside, totally inside, magnetic field at all the points is 0. You can remember that, right? Now let's come to the zone number 2, which is of interest. In zone number 2, we will find the R will be greater than A but less than B. Here we will also starting with this thing, so for that sake we need to take some Amperian loop. So let me draw an Amperian loop there. So we'll be having some sort of an Amperian loop in between, and this Amperian loop which I have just shown is going to be have a radius. So let's say the radius of this Amperian loop that we are taking is smaller in the second zone, and then we will be applying this Ampere's law, and it's going to say integration b dot dl the same way we calculate for all of the above cases is going to be equal to mu naught into I enclosed. Again, sense of this Amperian loop as well as the dot product and radial direction all considering together, we will find this is going to be b into 2 pi r. You can check this because the rules are exactly same, into mu naught into we need to find what the total current is. Now you see the total current is going to be because of this inner portions, right? And there are n number of turns and each turn carry I current, so total current will become n into I, and that's going to be in the outward direction. Here the outside current will not be counted because that is outside the Amperian loop, and then it's settled down. So formula becomes b is equal to mu naught n into I, where n is the total number of turns, mind it, n into I is the current in each turn, divided by twice pi r. So that's a formula, and this small r is the distance of that point from the center. So that's the field in the second zone, and that's the most important expression that you might be asked, so you need to remember that. And then there is the last zone, that's called zone number 3, where r is greater than b. If you go r is greater than b condition, that means if you are trying to have this as an Amperian loop, then you'll find here the current enclosed is going to be 0. So I'm just erasing it, I'm writing mathematically. So it's going to be again the formula is going to be Ampere's law as integration b dot dl is going to be equal to mu naught I enclosed. So if you simplify, left hand side is going to be b into 2 pi r, whatever the radius of that Ampere's loop you choose, is going to be equal to mu naught I enclosed. Now what the I enclosed is going to be, you'll find this current going to go inside and this current is coming outside, so they will have opposite directions, hence they will have an opposite sign. So we will say Ni current will going to be positive, total current Ni will be positive, as well as the total current Ni is going to be negative. So this positive and negative, they will get cancelled out, and this will be leading to a final answer, that is B is equal to 0. So the magnetic field outside the toroid is also 0, and inside the toroid is also 0, and in between the tube you'll find it's going to be mu naught Ni upon 2 pi r. So that's important formula, and that you need to remember. So in this particular slide we learned what a toroid is and how to express the field due to a toroid between the two these radii. It's a mu naught I upon 2 pi r. Small r is going to vary from a to b, and if it is less than a, it's a 0. If it is greater than b, it's a 0. Making sense? Okay, so note it down. One more important current distribution is this, that is current that we need to find magnetic field due to infinite current carrying sheet. So we have infinite sheet that carries current. So this cross-sectional view have been shown over here. These dot circles are trying to say the current is coming outside, and this length is large enough, that means it's infinitely long, that means it's running like this, it's running like this, and it's also coming outside on the inside, and it's up to infinite length. So that's a sheet, and in this sheet the current is moving, and this is the P point, which is x distance from the sheet, and that's a thin sheet, and we need to find the field at point P. So here we can also apply this Ampere's law, because this is infinitely large, so symmetry is going to prevail there. There will be given a quantity like current information, so it will be given like let K. Generally we use this K, or any other letter for that matter. K is current in the sheet per unit length, or we can call it as a current linear current density. That means if we consider L length over here, so in L length how much the current will be trapped, we can say L into K, because K is a current per unit length into length, that becomes the total current. So we can find the current in any segment if the length of the sheet we are considering. So K is going to be used, which is basically current per unit length. So how we can use this Ampere's law? Let's check. So for that sake we need to consider an Amperian loop. So let's say we are considering this as an Amperian loop which is symmetrical. That means it is same amount of upside as it is downside. So upside is x, so downside is also going to be x. And we are going to give the sense to this, so we can give a sense to this particular loop. So this is, let's say, sense, and that's a closed loop or Amperian loop, AL Amperian loop. Now if it is x upside, so x is also downside, so both is x and x, so that this P point and here point, they are going to be symmetrical. That means all the points at a distance x will have the same field. And then we are going to use this Ampere's law, and as per the Ampere's law, is going to be integration B dot dl has to be equal to mu naught into I enclosed. Now let's try to perform this integration B dot dl. Again, the loop that we have chosen is not circular, so here the some parts are need to be covered. So we can start naming them just like we had earlier. So we can say this is 1 point. Let's say this terminal point is 2. So 1 to 2 will have the same magnetic field. Similarly, we can say this is a third point. This is the fourth point. So 4 point we are considering over here. Now as far as the magnetic field direction is concerned, we can decide, because this is current, these are the current coming outside. Whenever the current comes outside, we can use the right hand rule to decide the direction. So if we consider the direction, then you will find the direction anywhere upside is going to be in this way, magnetic field, and direction anywhere downside is going to be in this way. So magnetic field directions will be parallel to this split that has been shown there, and that means they will be horizontal and towards negative x, or negative x-axis upside, positive x-axis downside. So we know if this is a current carrying wire, so how the fields go, that's how we are deciding the directions. Okay, then this integration has to be divided into 4 segments. We can say it's going to be integration from 1 to 2 segment B dot dl. Then you write this integration for 2 to 3 segment, 2 to 3 segment, and do this same thing, B dot dl. Then break this next one portion, which is 3 to 4 B dot dl. And then finally you go for this 4 to 1 B dot dl. Basically we are using the property of integration. That means we can divide a limit into some parts, and this is going to be equal to mu naught into I enclosed. So let's say this length that we are considering is L. So we are considering L length, so this is L and that is X. So we have just talked about K is the current density, linear current density, into L, so that will become the total current which is enclosed in the loop. Now we need to see the sense as well. The sense of direction, if you see, the sense of the loop is giving the inside as a positive and it's outside, so we need to place a minus, so we are placing a minus sign outside. Now you can think of why this minus sign is coming, because of the rule of the loop that we have already talked about. Now let's go ahead and talk about this 1 to 2 segment. When we are going to 1 to 2 segment, you are going to take the DL in this direction. That's a DL, and this DL and then B, they are going to be at 180 degree. So dot product will come as a minus B into integration L. B is going to be constant, you can take outside, and integration L is going to be, integration of DL is going to be L. So I'm directly writing it's going to be minus BL, the first term. What about the second term? In second term, you see this DL is going to be along this direction of the loop, and then you'll find B is perpendicular. So you'll find this term is going to be equal to 0. What about the next term, which is 3 to 4? When we are going 3 to 4, again you say DL and B, they are going to be in opposite direction. So it's going to be again minus B into L. Minus because they are opposite direction, B can be taken outside, integration of DL will be again the length L. And the last, which is 4 to 1, is going to be 0 because of the 90 degree nature. So this is how we are able to simplify all the four steps, and that came out to be minus mu naught k into L. So you can see this minus and minus getting cancelled out. Ultimately you are getting twice BL is equal to mu naught KL. Well, this L is not important because that's the length of the loop that we have considered, so it should be independent of L. So L is getting cancelled out, and we can say it's going to be mu naught K by 2. So that's again an important expression or formula or result, whatever you name it, and that's worth to remember. And it says B, the magnetic field is going to be mu naught K upon 2, where mu naught is a constant, K is a current per unit length, 2 is a constant. And you will find this field that we are getting is uniform. So that means infinitely large metallic sheet that carries current has uniform magnetic field, that is, it is independent of x. Whatever the x we have taken, it's independent of x. That means this point or this point or this point or this point or any point that you choose, field is going to be same, which is going to be mu naught K upon 2, right? And its direction can be identified by using right hand rule. So direction and magnitude both are ascertained, or both we have found out, and they are important. Okay, so that's all for this video. In this video lecture we have covered a couple of important expressions of magnetic field because of various current distributions which were symmetric, and we have used Ampere's law extensively. Okay, so make your notes and understand all the aspects. If you have doubt, you can ask. Thank you everyone.